18 hours remain until the Illinois General Assembly is set to gavel itself out for the year, and Governor Pritzker made clear that he is not a fan of the latest version of a bill to rescue public transit here in Illinois.
As it is, it's not going forward. There's got to be a lot of discussion between the House and the Senate in order to come up with a final bill, because it isn't going to look like what the House has put forward.
So to talk about where we go from here to avert major cuts to train and bus service statewide, we are joined once again by Streets Blog Chicago editor John Greenfield. John, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so what is the governor's concern with the new bill under consideration by the House?
You know, from what I've seen, it's not clear he's made it exactly clear what the problem is. Real quick, the things that are in discussion are a 7% amusement tax on streaming, $5 surcharge on large concerts and events, the billionaires tax, which is a new thing that was a little surprising, a 4.95% tax on unrealized gains on investments and assets. There's also interest in putting speed cameras by suburban churches and hospitals.
Look, I'm gonna stop him right there. I can't hear no more. I can't hear no more. The man just said a 4.95% tax on unrealized gains, called the billionaires tax. Does that just apply to billionaires, or does that apply for everyone? Because it says billionaires tax, but it might apply to everybody, because it don't matter if it applies to billionaires. It shouldn't apply to them. Let me just simplify this, and then we'll carry on. Y'all want to know what unrealized taxes are? So I Google it. So, unrealized gains are profits on assets value increase that have not been sold or realized. Can y'all hear me? Sold or realized. They're also known as paper gains because they are not actual cash until the asset is sold. In the United States, it is not taxed until they become realized by selling the asset. For example, if you buy a stock for $50 and it is now worth $75, you have an unrealized gain of $25. J.B. Pritzker wants to tax you on that $25, but you've never taken it out of the stock market. So you never actually gained the value of it in real assets because it's not an intangible asset. You cannot physically obtain it. That's like if I put $10,000 in the stock market and it goes up 25% and I made $2,500 on it, but it's still in the stock market, but I did not pull it out. J.B. Pritzker wants to tax you on those unrealized gains. I don't care if it's 1%, 2%. He's trying to tax you 5% on unrealized gains that you don't know. It might just drop again. So that means if the money you put in at the peak of a stock and it happened to go at the stop of a bear market, it goes up, let's say, and you're like, ooh, shit, I ain't gonna cash in yet because it could go up more. And they're like, well, since it's up there, it's time to tax you on it. And then the shit plummets back to original price. You lose money. It was no intention on you originally investing, because now you lost money because you was taxed on money that you never took out the stock market. Or the money sits there and it's like, well, as long as I don't sell it, say you did sell the stock, but the stock isn't in tangible shares. You didn't cash it out. It still is in shares. Bro, this is a slippery slope for Illinois, bro. And that's why Pritzker don't have no umph with it. He don't have no umph because he know. Literally, he knows. Damn, now where'd that video go? I done lost the damn video. Look, anyway, this man's trying to do a 10% streaming and entertainment. And this is the state of Illinois. Did we not just hear that Brandon Johnson of Chicago is also putting a tax on streaming and entertainment? So if you live in the state of Illinois, you're getting taxed 7% on streaming and entertainment, which they're already taxing us on online transactions, an extra tax for our state, by the way, that he put on there. If you live in Chicago, you're also going to pay a 5% tax, I believe. You got to pay 12% tax by living in Chicago, Illinois, for streaming and entertainment. Streaming and entertainment, that could be anything, Nick. Ticket surcharge, a $5 surcharge, bro. They finna tax you out of a house and a home, bro. You better not invest in Chicago. You better not move to Chicago. Everybody about to leave, bro. I'm telling you. That's why I'm not buying no house out here, bro. I'm good. I'm good. I'd rather just not.
I know that Pritzker was not happy about the speed cameras. There's been some issues with corruption and how
If you're reading what I'm reading, man, he's trying to tax the suburbs on real estate tax. I'm telling you, the last thing they can tax is something that you're stuck into. You stuck into a 30-day. So they want a delivery tax, $1.50 on all package deliveries, nigga. FedEx, UPS, Amazon, $1.50 on all package deliveries. I hope it ain't per package. I hope it's, if I get a Amazon bundle, it's the whole bundle, $1.50. Because you know how they charge this? They charge it not to you, they charge it to the company, and the company has to charge it to you. That's how it works. Then the company has to charge you the $1.50 because they've been charged $1.50, right? And then it also states that what? Real estate sale tax extended to the suburbs because it was already in the city. So they don't want to add no more sales tax. You see how you work that around? He don't want to spend those more sales tax onto the city, so he spends it to the suburbs now. Bro. And then you're stuck into a 30-year mortgage. Now your shit didn't went up because the state taxes didn't went up on your shit. And you already couldn't afford it. Now you stuck and you can't move. Man, y'all about to see the trap when you're being trapped. The sticky trap is on your foot, G. Did you not notice? Because I noticed.
traffic enforcement has been done, automatic traffic enforcement. On the other hand, automatic traffic enforcement, speed cameras and red light cameras have been shown to save lives in Chicago and other parts of the region. So,
Negative.
I think it makes sense to have more.
Murder rate's still up. It ain't saving no lives.
You've been talking to Springfield power brokers, so to speak. How optimistic are they that a compromise can be reached that pleases both chambers and Governor Pritzker?
Well, I interviewed the guy who's one of the people who's leading the House charge on the bill, Cam Buckner, representative. And, I interviewed him in the afternoon, and he sounded pretty optimistic about all this stuff. And then I checked the news, and I saw that Pritzker had done sort of a Debbie Downer act about the bill.
Because he know.
When I looked back at what Buckner said, it seems like there may be some difference of opinion about how much information the governor's office got about what was in the bill. So, I don't really understand the governor's logic in doing something that might make it impossible to pass the bill, because it's not going to look good for his presidential chances. He's supposedly interested in running for president if our transit system collapses while he's at the wheel.
Yes.
My man's in a deficit. He has no choice. So yes, it might ruin his chances to be in a position of power in the future. But I feel like the man has no choice. Why doesn't he have a choice? Because we're in a $2 billion deficit plus, and that's just estimate. Chicago's on a $1.5 billion deficit by itself, excluding Illinois. That seems like somebody's not using funds correctly, because you can't manage a budget. You're getting all this money, more money than all other states, mostly because you're one of the biggest, top 3 biggest, if not top 4 biggest states in the country. But you can't manage your budget? That's nuts. So you up the tax. And I hate this because I'm from Chicago. And I hate that they're doing this to our city. And then I hate that Pritzker's doing this to our state. Because it runs good people away from the state that love this state. And I love my city and I love my state. But when it has the leadership that it has, bro, it makes you leave it because there's no growth here. You can't grow here. Why can't you grow? Because they tax you out of a house and a home. Only the rich are going to survive in Chicago. And then eventually only the rich is going to be able to survive in the state of Illinois with all these taxes. But I feel like the poor don't see that because they're being subsidized by the SNAP, the Section 8, the Medicare, Medicaid. It's like that's the problem. They're filling your vision with all these subsidies and these aids that are given to you. But as soon as that aid is taken away, you're gonna notice it very fast. It's gonna keep you plateaued. It's gonna keep you where you at. Never gonna buy a home. You're never going to be able to afford the groceries outside of the card they give you. Right now, there's a government shutdown. Why is that? That's because they can't make a decision to vote on a budget, right? And now they're blaming the president. No, it's not the president's fault. It's your lack of understanding how money works. Stop giving it away. Stop taxing people if you don't know how to manage it. I don't understand how, and I'm going to leave you with this one. I don't understand how J.B. Prister can tax people so much when the state of Illinois, year over year, has been getting billions of dollars each year. Billions, so plural, every year since its launch. I think the first year was 1 billion with a B. After that, it was multiple billions from marijuana taxes given to the state. Where's that money, dude? Where's all the money that you're getting from it? You upped our registration cost by what, 50%. We used to pay $100 to get our registration renewed. It's $150 now, and it's been $150 from the DOT, Secretary of State. It's crazy. Everything's been taxed and upped. We have the highest gas tax next to California, highest property tax next to California. Like, what is going on? No one's going to be able to live here. People need to understand the average price of a crib out here in Illinois, and this is the cheap, like in a cheap area, bro. You paying like $1,900, $2,000, bro. If you find something under that, bro, it's a miracle, and it's probably in the ghetto. It's probably somewhere not safe. I'm telling you, that's how high it's getting. Eventually, it's going to run everybody away. You got to predict this type of behavior. What's going to happen is going to run the people out of the city. Only the rich are going to survive in the city. All the poor people are going to be pushed to the outskirts of the city. And then they're going to tax that part too because it's cooked. Yeah. It's going to be the half of have-nots, man. So y'all tell me what y'all think about this in the comments section. What you really think about the bill being passed, man. You about to get taxed on your unrecognized gains. There's no even point in investing no more because you're finna be taxed. So you're telling me if I just move a state over, I won't get taxed on this? Okay, I'm moving. It's like moving to Florida. No income tax, bro. Yes, you move to Indiana, no sales tax, G. And the rule, you get more of your life back. Imagine Illinois. I'm going to give you this example. I'm going to get out of here. Imagine Illinois as a crib you get, and it's an HOA, and you're on let's say a 10-year adjustable arm. You know what I'm saying? Adjustable mortgage rate, right? And the interest just keeps getting worse. It don't go back down. It just keeps getting up and up to the point where you can't afford it, but you have no way out because they're charging you more and you can barely keep your head above water, and inflation is bringing everything up, and the price of living, your price of living every year is not increasing. It's actually staying the same or not moving fast enough to obtain the amount of interest you're being paid for the 10-year arm while you're being taxed on top of that. So not only do you leave your home, you lose your home, you can't feed your kids, and your job's not paying you enough, but you can't leave. You're trapped. You're done. You entered the rat race, and you're on the hamster wheel, and you're not getting off. Sorry, this is how it ends. Really, y'all gotta think this deep, man. It gets this deep, because I work with elderly people. I work in a nursing facility, and I know. This is how it ends. I had a prediction. I said, man, what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to be poor. You're going to see a lot of poor people in nursing homes because they're poor, not because they actually need to be there, just because they need the Medicaid to have a place to live. And then your grandma going to be in there with a homeless man that don't really need to be up in there type shit. So that being said, it's your boy Angelo Savage, man. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this in the comments section. I do what I do when I do it. And if you got time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's your boy Savage. Tell me what you think. Pow, we out.